welcome to another episode of The Little Radio Show. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Juan Alanis and Angelica Casares, and we're bringing you small talk about big topics. This week we have a great conversation about Angelica's recent premiere performance on live television on Great Day Houston. We have an interview with Kristal Howard from Kroger about Thanksgiving Day preparations, and a candid conversation amongst us where we tackle the question, can restaurants run better without tipping? Just a reminder that you can catch us every week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on hmsnetradio.org. Our show archives and the link to our iTunes channel and the Stitcher channel are available at thelittleradioshow.com. Thank you for joining us for another great episode of conversations that we've got slated for you. My name is Sandra Fernandez, and I'm the publisher of HispanicHouston.com, as well as being one of the co-hosts of the show.
My name is Anjelica&rsquo. I am the co-creator for One Words, and watch out, I got a new website, Crafty Thrifter.
.com?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought it was just implied. So it's craftythrifter.com, yes.
Hey, guys, and this is Juan Alanis, and I'm the co-founder of One Words, and, the sidekick here.
So, in this week's, in case you missed it, I know that Angelica just had a really great experience.
So, I don't know where to start with this because I felt like somebody was terrorizing me when I was So, here's my story. I was on live TV here in Houston on Channel 11, KHOU. I did the
Great Day Houston.
Great Day Houston, yes, I'm sorry. It's an actual live show that happens here in Houston. I did a variety of Halloween costumes that you can find at the thrift store, and I presented it, and they liked it, and they had me on the show. A show that was probably not going to happen had Juan not been there, because I could not for the life of myself go through with it.
This was your first on-air live TV experience.
On my own.
And if you've never had the experience of being on live television, it is nerve-wracking, even though Deborah Duncan is phenomenal and so kind.
I did this thing. Okay, so we were sitting... Okay. Let me start from the beginning. So we were there. I was getting very nervous. I was getting very amped up. And Juan made the mistake of asking them, so when is she going on? And they were like, 20 minutes. And I was like, 20 minutes. Help me. And then I had to go to the restroom. And by the time I went to the restroom, my niece comes in and she's like, let's go. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. This is not going to happen. And so we're going downstairs. They whoosh us down. And they had already pre-told us kind of sort of the way it was going to happen. And so, and it keeps going. And I'm watching them like,
and there's a live audience in the studio.
There's a live audience, and she already she had a guest on there already. And I'm like, hurry up, please, because I need to get on that chair and just do what I need to do and leave home and cry, because that's what I want to do. I just want to fall apart and cry, which is what I did afterwards, but that's another story. So anyways, so they put me on the chair.
Not because it went badly, though.
No, because I was a nervous wreck.
If you, we'll post a link to the episode, to the segment in the show notes, but
She did really well.
Really well.
I am so happy.
Fabulous.
I am so happy that I'm getting positive feedback, and I'm very, very happy about it. But at that moment, I turned to Juan and I looked at Juan and I said, Juan, I mouthed to him. I said, Juan, I cannot do this. And he looks at me, and there was like a crowd, and the cameras were in front of him, and he swarms his head, or like not swarms his head. He veers his head and looks straight at me, and he looks at me and he says, Angelica, breathe. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I have to breathe too, right? And so and Deborah Duncan sits next to me, and I tell her, I said, Deborah, I am a nervous wreck. I'm going to apologize now if I run away. Like if I just run off the set, I am so sorry. She looks at me, she smiles, she was like, you're fine. I was like, I just told you I was going to run off the set. What do you mean I'm fine? And they're like, okay, ready, 1, 2, they're cueing her to go. And I'm like, so I have them, and all of a sudden my face changes, and I turn into this person that I have no idea who I was.
But she did really well, and
those 2 minutes, a complete blur.
And the night before, I was like, we have to practice. So I made her like go to the interview with me, like I don't know how many times.
Well, that's good. That's a good way. We had Ramon Santillan on a few weeks ago, and he talked about how that's what he does with his clients, is he makes them practice. Unless you do it, it feels alien to you.
The sign that it went really well was that she said that Deborah said, we'll have you back for the holidays.
Yes.
Yeah, she did. She invited me back for Christmas, and I hope it pans through. maybe I might run off the set then.
Well,
I didn't do it Halloween.
Congratulations on your TV debut.
No, also I just wanted to talk about Empire and Scandal this season because I've been watching Scandal and this season I'm really hooked on Scandal. Like, and last season I was kind of into it. I was hot and cold.
This season I'm sort of done with Scandal. I'm sorry. It used to be one of my favorite shows, and this season I'm like, really? I'm done. I am done with you. I will come back and check in a few episodes to see if y'all got your act together.
And see, I'm like that
I'm
with
curious.
Empire this season. This season with Empire, I'm like, it's good and I like it and I'm watching all of it. But I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I felt like last season I was more into it. And
it's because they haven't given you the twist yet. So hold on. It's coming, Juan. It's coming. But I'm curious, Sandra, what made you like kind of just like turn your head away from Scandal? What was?
I feel like that they're not being true to the character that they created. So here's this woman who's supposed to have this intelligence and the strength of character to pretty much remake the world by her will only. And if you look at her this season, what she is a teenager in love.
She's I can't pronounce this word. She's vulnerable.
No, it's not vulnerable. It's well, I really do love you. Oh, well, I don't want to give up all my stuff. Oh, well, even though I don't want to give up all my stuff, let me tell the entire world that I'm having an affair with a married man who happens to be the president of the United States. Oh, what do you mean you were going to make me marry him now? Nuh-uh. No. I am done with that.
Do you know they actually have a series called Scandal High on Jimmy Kimmel?
I watched that.
And it's Kerry Washington and all the cast that are acting like they're in high school.
Oh, I'm going to have to watch that.
It was funny. We were watching it last night, and I was like, what is this? Is this part of Scandal? And I was like, I hope they're not making Scandal like this. No, and then I found out it was Jimmy. So she's giving a reading of like what's going on and what's happening, and they're like over dramatic, and it was
because
funny.
Supposedly, initially, the show was thought up to be in a high school setting, which I'm like, I don't know if that's true or that they're just saying that on the show.
Wrong.
I'm just like, that's kind of bizarre.
Okay, so while you guys are talking about Empire and Scandal, I have to admit something that I'm very embarrassed about. Sandra, I like Scream Queens.
I told you.
She kept telling me that she didn't like Scream Queens, and I'm sitting there watching and cracking up.
I told you that.
And then she's like laughing in the other room.
They made a reference to from the 90210 Brenda Walsh,
yes.
And my stepmother doesn't look like Brenda Walsh, and I was like, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm.
I told you. I watched it. I absolutely expecting to hate that show, and it is so funny. It is so
funny.
much fun to watch.
Yeah. It is funny.
Yeah.
It is funny, but they do have some gruesome scenes where you're like, if you haven't watched it, spoiler alert, the head inside
it's dark comedy. It really is dark comedy.
It very much is kind of like a little bit like the Scream, like the original Scream movies, except now it's like Scream with like the Mean Girls.
Yes.
Combined.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good description. It's like Scream with Mean Girls. But I'm rooting for Chanel. I'm like rooting for the quote unquote bad one.
The anti-hero.
Yeah.
And those it's a weird situation there because there are no nice people.
There are. Well, there's a few, and then those you're like, I don't like you so much. You're not sassy enough. Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis is really good on that. I like her.
And she's the original Scream Queen, which I thought was really, really great of them to cast her in the show because she brings in the older segment. Yeah. Oh, I told you that show is awesome.
Yeah.
I am very embarrassed that I like it, but I love it.
Well, now we're all hooked on it.
So we're all very much hooked on it. I didn't think for the first few episodes, I was like, I can't get down with this. Like I can. And then all of a sudden, these references to other things and things I was just finding myself laughing at, and I wanted more. And I'm like, entertain me, make me laugh, because as soon as I watch it, I know I'm gonna sit down for the next 30, 40 minutes, how long it lasts, and I'm gonna enjoy it. That's how much I know how long it lasts. That I don't even know how long it lasts. Yeah. I'm not even sure if it's 30 minutes or an hour. So we'll check back in with these episodes.
Well, and that's your in case you missed it for this week. If you're just tuning in, this is the Little Radio Show on hmsnetradio.org.
Thanksgiving is just literally a couple of days away. That's so hard to believe because the year just went by so rapidly, but whenever you think Thanksgiving, you think turkeys, and you never really think about how many turkeys actually are consumed by U.S. consumers. But we're talking about 51 million turkeys that we eat on Thanksgiving Day. That's a lot of turkeys.
We just eat half of those.
And joining us today is Kristal Howard, who represents Kroger, the Kroger company, and this is a busy season for you guys.
It is. So Thanksgiving, and as you mentioned, 51 million turkeys are consumed. So I think that covers a wide majority of U.S. households. And it's actually our largest sales holiday of the year. And to be precise, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is our biggest sales day of the entire year.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so tidbit to the wise, we always say actually shop a week before the Thanksgiving holiday.
So this week.
So start shopping now. Just slowly start getting your cranberries, right, and your stuffing, and start hoarding your turkey. Shop now.
Kristal, I think it sounds like you're talking to me, because I am that person who is like, I go to the manager, I'm like, you're out of everything. And they're like, yes, it's the Wednesday
It's 2 hours before, right? So no, that's the tip. It's start shopping now. Start getting your pie crust. Start, slowly building that list and accumulating, and start, planning how many people you'll have in your home, how many people you're hosting. But the thing is, shop a week before. That's a tip.
Good. That's a really good tip. I think I'm going to start now.
Yeah, that is a really good tip. And, so tell us a little bit more about, like, what else there besides Thanksgiving. Then you get into Christmas, and then you get into...
So it's all things food, and realizing that food is such an integral part of so many celebrations, so many of the fond memories that we have from childhood and adulthood and college and births and deaths and wedding involve food. And you see how important a grocery store is to that aspect of so many celebrations. And, along with the turkey, just a little more tidbits about Thanksgiving. Also, we see a rise in candles and bacon and other miscellaneous things that you don't necessarily outright associate with Thanksgiving. But again, from a hosting perspective, candles and bacon.
Do you think that the uprise of, like, say, bacon, it has to do with, like, Pinterest? Like, people are wrapping their turkey in bacon, and so you see that influx of things that just
I think you might be onto something. I blame Pinterest and I blame Instagram, right?
I think so.
Right?
I think that's what happens.
Bacon. Hello. I've never heard of a bacon product that was not delicious.
I would have to echo you on that. And what's interesting, so as you see this rise in bacon sales, what you see a decrease of is actually frozen products, like frozen pizza and frozen vegetables. And that's because people are making space in their freezer for the turkey and all of the things that they're purchasing.
So you guys actually see...
That's a great insight. You never really
you see the difference, the fluctuation of where the groceries kind of sorts out. So you guys kind of prepare for it, and you space out the grocery store just for these things,
and that's
for these items.
Based on sales trends and knowing kind of the pulse items, the hot items, we merchandise and we plan accordingly to that. Yeah.
So you said earlier that the grocery store plays a big part in holiday seasons, and I have to agree with you because not only all of a sudden you're walking to Kroger and you see the fog, you see with these brooms that have that scent, that cinnamon scent, and you're like, and you walk in and they place it like right at the door, so you can smell it right when you walk in.
You can find way more than groceries at Kroger's, right?
No, and that's exactly, and you're so right, and and I'm trying to think of it, and the name escapes me at the moment, but that's it. It's all things like nutmeg and cinnamon and frankincense and myrrh, and it just hits you as soon as you walk in, and it really sets the tone of the season.
It does. I cannot express how much I walk into a store and I don't even prepare for it, and then I start preparing for it when like stores like Kroger stores.
We tell you when to prepare for it, right? That's the brainwashing, right, of retail. We're like, okay, it's time to shop for turkeys. Now it's time to shop for Christmas presents.
Sometimes I look for some of the candy, and I'm like, because I know this candy is going to go, and it's going to sell very fast, and I stock up a little bit. And it's like, okay, no, I know. And then they place it in places where you know that you're going to see it, obviously. Yeah. And so, but definitely. And then it transitions into Christmas. And then it's like, okay, I'm on Christmas holiday now. And it's sort of kind of the whole month of December.
Yeah.
So it is. It's what do you find the difference between, say, holidays such as Thanksgiving into Christmas?
Yeah, I think what you'll see, and I think it's part of our culture where, exactly as we're saying, 51 million turkeys are consumed per purchase. We think turkey, we think cranberry, we think pecan pie, but I think the cool thing about Christmas, everyone has their own interpretation of what that menu looks like, and that's the coolest part, right? When you think of Christmas, you might think of a Christmas ham, but there's no true. Every household is so different. So I think people kind of flex their creativity and muscle when it comes to Christmas.
I think at our households, it's very much tamales. And so we go in for the masa. We go in for the pork. We go in for the chicken.
Yeah, to build them at home. And that's the cool thing. So whether it's tamales or whether it's ham, or maybe you have this, casserole dish that, your aunt, Flo loves to bring in. Everyone does their own interpretation for Christmas, whereas Thanksgiving, I think we all pretty much agree that it's kind of a set menu.
Yeah. So, what do you think the population for the consumers of Kroger? What do you think their biggest take? I mean, besides the turkey, their biggest take from Thanksgiving, kind of the menu item. What would you say it is? Is it like mashed potatoes? Is it corn? What is their favorite second side that you see that there's an influx of like?
So absolutely potatoes, all things casserole and broccoli, casseroles, cranberries, right? All of those staples, all of those accoutrements that go along with turkeys are just hot items. But potatoes are definitely a number one there.
But the other thing for Kroger this time of the year is also it's a time to give back to the community, right? I mean, it's a time where you.
And Kroger does a very good job of that.
You encourage the community to give back. And
so next week, on Thanksgiving Day itself, we are one of the top sponsors of the Turkey Trot. So that's become part of my family tradition. So it's, you have the psyche of like, oh, I do this 5K or 10K in the morning. That means I can consume 10,000 calories later, right? And it all works out.
It is. I'm going to consume them regardless.
Right. You know what? I think, I just thought of that. You do the 5K, 5,000 calories. You do the 10K, 10,000 calories, right? Hang on to that.
Hold on, maybe I might
1 serving and 2 servings.
I might consider that because the turkey trot is very big and is very big here in Houston. I don't participate, but I go watch, which is a very big. So I consume a little bit more for y'all because I see y'all hungry.
Good one. And then we're also a big sponsor of Interfaith Ministries. Annually, they do a Thanksgiving delivery for homebound seniors. So we are a big part of that because there are so many Houstonians who are homebound or, and so many things with holidays. You think of family times, but oftentimes people have family, they live abroad, or perhaps family who's recently passed, or maybe it is just them. So we want to be mindful and reach out to those who may not necessarily have those families to celebrate with, but want to ensure that, the experience and the celebration still comes to their doorstep.
Well, that's really important because, as you said, there's so many people out there who on Thanksgiving Day or Christmas Day, they don't have people to celebrate with and they don't have a hot meal. So giving them that is really important. But you guys donate $1.5 million to local nonprofits?
So our Kroger Community Rewards program, and that's something that's very popular during the holidays, but it's actually a year-round initiative. And as we've been talking turkeys and cranberries and potatoes, so just keep in mind whenever you shop with us, every item that goes across the register could actually be benefiting the local nonprofits through our Kroger Community Rewards program. So that's an annual initiative in which local charities and nonprofit schools can enroll to be a beneficiary. And all you have to do is, if you are an organization who's interested, go to KrogerCommunityRewards.com, or if you're just shoppers like us, you can go to that website and actually link your Kroger Plus card. We all have one. You can link your Plus card to one of the enrolled nonprofits, and every time you shop, that organization will benefit. So you'll see on your receipt tape messaging at the bottom, it will say, Kristal, you are presently contributing to Star of Hope.
So it does say that.
It does.
It does say that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's
so
nice
check
to know.
the bottom
now I'll
of,
do
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
and
it's so easy.
Okay.
And again, there's not a cost to the shopper and there's not a cost to the organization. And we always like to say it's free money because, again, you're going to buy that turkey, right? And you're going to buy those frozen pizzas. But then also know that there's a charitable piece to it that we always give back a % of that sale. We can.
Oh, what a great program.
Yeah, and it's so easy, and our customers really love us for it, and nonprofits love us for it, and each year we give away $1.5 million. And this is a big season for us from a community's perspective. So I know I mentioned the Turkey Trot and the Meals on Wheels program and our Kroger Community Reward program, but we actually have people here on the ground that oversee community relations for each region of Houston. So there are a number of turkey giveaways and community celebrations that we're a part of. We really strive to be a responsible responsible corporate citizen, and we look for those opportunities to give back because, again, as our city continues to grow, and I know the number's always fluctuating, but the last I heard was it 2,000 people move here every single day. So you do the quick math, that's 14,000 new residents that we have. And, I remember a few years ago when I actually volunteered my personal time, they hosted a Thanksgiving dinner for refugees. And you have to think of Houston is such a hub for so many refugees and those who just are seeking a new life from their country. And again, that presents an opportunity to shower those folks with love.
Well, on the vein of the conversation about how Houston is changing, one of the things that people, myself as a shopper at Kroger, have been able to see over the last decade or so is how the groceries that you actually sell have changed. It used to be you couldn't find any Latino foods or international foods in there. And now I can make my favorite curry. I can go and find the ingredients for my grandma's chicken and rice, all the other stuff there. Can you tell us a little bit about some grocery trends that you're seeing in the Houston area?
Yeah, I'm glad you've noticed, right? So we're doing the right jobs. I'll relay that back to the team there. But that's exactly it. We all know Houston is the most diverse city in the U.S. We oftentimes think of New York and L.A., but all the studies have shown that Houston is, based on our demographics, we are the most diverse in the U.S. And because of that, the way that our merchandising team, our buyers, we have to look at trends. We have to look at what are the products people are gravitating to and what are the products people aren't gravitating to. And we have to be that mainstream grocer that appeals to every shopper that comes through the door. I always say that my job is easy in the sense that from a marketing perspective, I don't have a target audience, right? Everybody's my audience, right? And the beauty of that is ensuring that whoever steps into the store, that we have a product, that we have the food items that they're looking for on their list. And as a result, we have diversified our portfolio of what we offer. And there's more variety and there's a greater emphasis on local. There are so many different local food producers and breweries and wineries that we now partner with, and we have them on the shelf. And as you're speaking to kind of the multicultural leg of it, the funny thing in Houston, it's not even multicultural, right? It's a way of life. So a big part of it is it's the integration. So that's what you see, kind of the shift toward not just having these products stand alone, but really mixing them into the overall grocery set just to be more reflective of the city.
So is there anything else you'd like to add to our listeners 1 week before Thanksgiving, before we wrap up?
Make a list and shop early.
I like that. I will take notes.
And if you could tell us once again what that URL is for the shoppers for the program.
Absolutely. So if you are interested, if you are a nonprofit and you're interested in enrolling in the program, or if you're a shopper and you want to link your Kroger Plus card to our participating organization, go to KrogerCommunityRewards.com.
For those of you just tuning in, this is the Little Radio Show on hmsnetradio.org. You can catch the show every Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Time.
Since Houston is one of the cities where we eat out more times in a week than almost every other city in the country, I think it's something like 51% of lunch and dinner in Houston are actually eaten outside of the home. We're very familiar with the fact that you have to tip the waitstaff. That's it. It's just part of the overall experience. There's a restaurant company in New York that's made news recently because they've announced that they're going to phase out tipping.
How many times have you talked about restaurants up north? Enough already up north with those restaurants. Enough. Now you want to take away tipping.
I'm hungry.
Now you want to take away tipping?
But the issue of no tipping is a big deal for me because I gotta say, the majority of my personal friends work their way through college working as restaurant service staff.
I started my quote-unquote career as a hostess at a restaurant, and they moved me up very quickly into waitressing.
But what do they do? So do they pay them a salary?
No, yes. The intent is the price of the food is going to go up so that they can actually pay the waitstaff a reasonable salary, something that would be equal to what they were making with the tip, and then that's it, no tip allowed, which is actually makes a certain amount of sense to me. But
it's kind of
the argument for tipping has always been that It's supposed to make people want to give you better service. But there are many, many studies out there that show that that's in fact not what happens. I have friends who made lots and lots of tips by hustling hard at restaurants, and they knew that the better that they did, the more money that they got.
Yes.
But there's a lot of waitstaff out there. And then there's the issue of international commerce. In New York especially, they've got people coming in from countries where tipping is not the norm. And so they come in and they do these big dinners and they leave without tipping, and the waitstaff doesn't get a tip for all the work that they did.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because sometimes the waitstaff does a really good job and they don't get a tip. So, that kind of like sours you a little bit, and you're like, well, I'm doing a really good job and I'm not getting a tip.
So when I was a waitressing, when we got big parties, anything over 6, the tip was included. And actually, some people never notice this, but when you get your bill, if you see it and they leave you an option to leave more if your service was even better. But I think that here in Houston is a norm. If you have a party larger than 4, expect that their tip is going to be included.
See, I feel when I get my tip included already, I'm just like, how dare they?
That's a
because I'm
practice.
like, I want to like decide what tip you get.
But you shouldn't have to, and I see where they're coming with that. You shouldn't have to decide how much tip you got. You got a service, whether it was bad or not, and if it was included. I know,
but I'm just old fashioned, and I want to pick. I want to decide.
If the service was included, I know back way when I was a waitress, we got complaints, and the manager would come and be like, hey, you did really bad. They suggested that your tip wasn't as good as what we had put. You had a table of 10 and you didn't attend them the way you should have. And we're not sure we're going to pull your tip, or maybe we might give it to the busboy, because he helped with refilling when you were supposed to.
So you would have benefited from a salary.
I've never worked I've never worked as a waitress, but I have lots and lots of friends who do. I automatically assume I'm going to leave a 20% tip. Someone has to do something, really bad service for me to start cutting down, and I have only ever not tipped maybe once in my life, because I do feel that if
I don't feel that strong either about tipping like that. I tip based on my service, because based on my service is how I'm going to enjoy my food. I am not kidding you. If you're giving me bad service and I feel like I'm not enjoying my food because of my waitress or my waiter, then I'm not going to give a good tip.
Now, it's gonna depend. Yeah. But no, my family, and this is one of those things where we are our parents' children. This is my dad had a very strong feeling on, you should always make sure that you leave a tip, because they work hard, and even though they're having a bad day, it's a hard job to have.
Then you shouldn't be in customer service.
Well, sometimes they get paid very low. Like their hourly wage is like $2 or $3.
Yeah.
And so you have to think, like, if you're working 2 or 3 hours and you're like working on your feet, running around, so you're bound to have a bad day.
But most people agree with you.
Then you shouldn't be in customer service. If you feel like you're going to have more bad days than great days, why are you in customer service? Why are you waitressing?
But that's like
Maybe
anything
this
else,
isn't your trade.
Sometimes you have to go into customer service. Sometimes you get into a job you really don't want.
There's other, as when I was waitressing, you're right. We had to hustle for our money. We had to go. And, sometimes they were bad customers, and that's just kind of the day we had. And there were some customers that would like exceptional and were like, oh my God, like I'm having such a great day. It's my birthday and I'm going to leave you a $50 tip. And I'm like, oh my God, you just made my day. And so there's times when I walked out with $50. There's times I walked out with $300. And it was all based upon how well I did.
If studies are showing that actually, that for most people, tipping isn't actually an inducement for them to provide better customer service. And we're actually seeing restaurants that are saying, okay, we're going to start to do away with tipping. Where do we come up on this? Do we think that tipping should be done away with? So what that means is, like, let's say, and I'm making this number up out of nowhere. Let's say that instead of paying people $2.25 an hour plus tips, you say, okay, we're going to pay you $10 an hour to be a waiter. Do you think they'd have problems finding people to be wait staff that way?
Yes, it's tough work. It's tough work being a waitress. You're on your feet and you're back and forth, and you're dealing with not only customers, you're dealing with management, you're dealing with cooks, you're dealing with busboys. I mean, at a moment's time, all of a sudden you can be a bartender to a busboy. You're getting those French fries off those baskets.
So for those of you out there, the question is, Do you think that restaurants would work better without tipping? Do you agree that, or do you think that tipping is a really effective way of making sure that you get good customer service while you're out there? We'd love to hear from you. Let us know. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Little Radio Show. We invite you to check out our iTunes channel and our Stitcher channel and to leave us a rating or a review. You can find both links at thelittleradioshow.com.